Long before Midgar's steel towers pierced the sky, before the Shinra electric power company carved its empire from the planet's lifeblood, before humanity even understood what it meant to harness Mako energy, something fell from the stars and buried itself deep in the northern crater of a world called Gaia. And that something was Jenova, an ancient alien entity whose arrival predates human civilization by millennia, whose very existence would become the foundation for one of the most catastrophic chains of events in that planet's history. This is not a story about a villain who simply chose evil. This is a story about identity fractured beyond recognition, about a man engineered before birth to be something more than human, who discovered he was something far less, about the moment when the greatest hero the world had ever known looked into the abyss of his own origin and found only lies, manipulation, and the genetic legacy of an extraterrestrial horror that had been sleeping in Shinra's labs, labeled and catalogued and injected into his cells before he ever drew breath. Sephiroth's fall from grace is not a descent, it is a revelation, the peeling back of every assumption about self and purpose until nothing remains but rage and a twisted sense of destiny. What makes his story so compelling, so deeply unsettling, is that it begins with genuine heroism, with a soldier so skilled and so revered that his name alone could turn the tide of wars, a man who inspired loyalty and fear in equal measure, who represented everything Shinra wanted the world to believe about its soldier program. And then it strips all of that away in a single week of horror in a mountain village called Nibelheim, where the truth waiting in a basement laboratory proved more destructive than any blade he ever wielded. The transformation from Sephiroth the hero to Sephiroth. The calamity is not just a personal tragedy, it is a cascade that nearly ends all life on the planet, that summons a meteor capable of planetary annihilation, that forces the very life stream itself to rise in defense. And even after his physical defeat, his will persists, his influence seeping through the cracks in reality, through the trauma he inflicted, through the geostigma that ravages the survivors, through the remnants who carry fragments of his essence and his obsession. You cannot understand Final Fantasy VII without understanding Sephiroth, and you cannot understand Sephiroth without tracing the thread all the way back to Jenova's arrival, to the Cetra who fought and failed to stop her, to the scientists who found her frozen form 2,000 years later and mistook an alien parasite for an ancient, to the Jenova project that turned that mistake into a human experiment, to the child born from that experiment who would grow up never knowing the truth, never suspecting that his strength was not his own, that his very existence was a contradiction, a human shell wrapped around alien cells, a puppet who believed himself a god. This is the complete story of Sephiroth, from the prehistoric calamity that made him possible to the final confrontation that should have ended him to the shadow he casts even in death. And it is a story that spans millennia, that touches every corner of Gaia, that transforms a planet's history and nearly ends its future. To understand any of it, to grasp how a decorated war hero became the architect of near apocalypse, how a man could look at his own reflection and see an ancient alien's will staring back, how love and loyalty and admiration could curdle so completely into betrayal and despair for everyone who ever knew him, we have to go back to the very beginning, not to Sephiroth's birth in a Shinra laboratory, not even to the Jenova project's inception, but to the moment when Jenova herself arrived on Gaia, because that is where this story truly starts, in the prehistoric era when the Cetra still wandered the planet, tending to its wounds, communing with the life stream, living in harmony with a world that was about to be invaded by something that wore harmony as a mask. Jenova came from the sky, a calamity from the cosmos, and the Cetra called her the calamity from the skies. And she did what she was designed to do, what her species perhaps evolved to do. She infected, she mimicked, she read the memories and fears of those she encountered and became what they trusted, what they loved, and then she destroyed them from within, spreading a cellular corruption that turned the Cetra against each other, that nearly drove them to extinction. The Cetra fought back, and the war against Jenova cost them almost everything. But they won. or they thought they did. They sealed her in the northern crater, buried her in geological strata, and over the centuries they dwindled, their numbers falling, their culture fading, until only a handful remained. And humanity, the Cetra's descendants who had lost the ability to commune with the planet, inherited Gaia, built civilizations, forgot the old warnings, forgot what slept beneath the ice. 2,000 years passed. Shinra rose. The company discovered Mako energy, learned to drain the life stream itself for power, built reactors across the continents, and in their hunger for resources and knowledge, they excavated the northern crater and found Jenova's preserved remains. And the scientists who studied her made a catastrophic error in identification. They saw her cellular structure, saw something that resembled ancient biology, and concluded they had found a Cetra, one of the planet's original guardians. And that mistake, that fundamental misunderstanding of what they had actually unearthed, became the premise for the Jenova project, an experiment designed to create a human Cetra hybrid, a being who could theoretically lead Shinra to the Promised Land, a mythical place of boundless Mako energy. Professor Gast Faramis initiated the project, but it was his colleagues, Professor Hojo and Professor Hollander, who carried it forward with ruthless ambition. And the project split into two approaches, two competing methodologies. And from those experiments came children, infants injected with Jenova's cells while still in the womb. And one of those children was Sephiroth, born to Lucretia Crescent, a scientist who volunteered herself and her unborn son for Hojo's experiment, who gave birth and then lost all access to the child, who was consumed by guilt and grief and the Jenova cell's effects on her own body. And Sephiroth grew up never knowing his mother, raised by Shinra, trained from childhood to be the ultimate weapon, the pinnacle of the soldier program. And he excelled. He became everything they wanted, strong beyond measure, fast beyond human limitation, a prodigy with 2,000 years before Sephiroth is born, before Shinra exists, before even the concept of Mako reactors enters human imagination. Something crashes into the northern reaches of a planet called Gaia. It arrives in a meteorite, and it is hungry. We're in the prehistoric era of Final Fantasy VII's world, a time when the dominant civilization isn't human at all. This is the age of the Cetra, an ancient nomadic people who possess an innate spiritual connection to the planet itself. And I need to pause here because that capitalization matters. In Final Fantasy VII's cosmology, the planet isn't just a ball of rock and water. It's a living entity with its own consciousness, its own circulatory system called the life stream, a river of spiritual energy that flows beneath the surface and contains the memories, knowledge, and souls of everything that has ever lived on Gaia. The Cetra can hear the planet. They can communicate with it. They can sense its pain. And when Jenova arrives, the planet screams. The impact site becomes known as the North Crater, a massive geological wound that will remain visible millennia later. But this isn't just a crater, it's a landing site. Jenova, the extraterrestrial entity sealed within that meteorite, doesn't die on impact. It wakes up. Here's what we know about Jenova from the fragments of history that survive into the game's present day. It's a parasitic organism, something that travels from world to world, consuming the life force of planets until nothing remains. The method is insidious. Jenova doesn't simply destroy, it assimilates, it studies, it adapts, and most terrifyingly, it mimics. The infection begins almost immediately. Local flora near the crash sites start to warp, their cellular structure rewriting itself according to alien instructions. Fauna that wander too close to the crater undergo rapid mutation, their bodies twisting into forms that serve Jenova's purpose, rather than their own survival. This isn't evolution. This is hostile takeover at the genetic level. The Cetra notice quickly. They have to. Their entire way of life revolves around migration, following the planet's needs, helping life flourish in barren places, maintaining the delicate balance between the life stream and the physical world. They're shepherds, essentially, tending to Gaia itself. So when a massive disruption appears in the northern region, when the planet's voice becomes distorted with pain and confusion, the Cetra converge on the source. I think it's important to understand what the Cetra expected to find. They're a peaceful people, deeply spiritual, accustomed to working with natural forces rather than against them. They've encountered challenges before, natural disasters, imbalances in the ecosystem that require their intervention. But those are problems with comprehensible solutions. Jenova is something else entirely. The first Cetra to reach the North Crater attempt communication. This is their instinct, their training, their fundamental approach to the unknown. They extend their consciousness toward the entity, trying to understand its nature, its needs, its place in the cosmic order. What they receive in return isn't language or thought or even recognizable emotion. It's hunger. Pure, absolute, incomprehensible hunger that wants to consume everything they are and everything the planet is. The entity is hostile in a way that transcends mere aggression. It doesn't want territory or resources in any conventional sense. It wants to hollow out Gaia from the inside, to drink the life stream dry, to add this world's biological and spiritual data to its own ever-expanding collection before moving on to the next planet. And then the infections begin spreading to the Cetra themselves. This is where Jenova's true horror reveals itself. The entity doesn't just kill, it transforms. Cetra who come into direct contact with Jenova's cells, who breathe the spores it releases, who touch the mutated tissue spreading from the crater, they begin to change. Their bodies revolt against them. Their minds fragment. They become something the surviving Cetra will later call the Calamity's spawn, monstrous hybrids that retain fragments of Cetra knowledge and power, but serve only Jenova's will. Think about what this means tactically. The Cetra's greatest strength is their connection to the planet, their ability to channel its energy. Now that strength becomes a vulnerability. Infected Cetra can still access the life stream, but they use it to spread corruption rather than healing. They become weapons turned against their own people, their own world. The Cetra civilization mobilizes. This isn't a localized threat anymore. This is an extinction event in progress. Every able Cetra, from every corner of Gaia, begins the journey north. They bring with them the accumulated spiritual knowledge of their entire culture, rituals passed down through generations, techniques for manipulating the planet's energy that will be completely lost by the time humans become the dominant species. Among them are warriors, though that word doesn't quite capture what they are. The Cetra aren't a martial culture, but they do have individuals who specialize in protection, in channeling the planet's energy for defensive purposes. These guardians of the planet, as they're known, form the vanguard of the assault on the North Crater. They're not soldiers in any conventional sense. They're more like antibodies, the planet's immune response given humanoid form. The battle that follows is unlike anything in recorded history because it's not really a battle in the traditional sense. Jenova doesn't fight the way terrestrial creatures fight. It manipulates matter at the molecular level. It creates illusions so perfect that the Cetra can't distinguish them from reality. It reshapes the battlefield itself, turning stone to liquid, air to poison, light to shadow. The Guardians find themselves fighting in an environment that refuses to obey natural laws, where their own perceptions become weapons used against them. And here's where the Cetra's deep connection to the planet becomes crucial. Because while Jenova can mimic, can adapt, can transform, it's still fundamentally alien to Gaia. It's a parasite trying to tap into the life stream, to use the planet's own energy against it. But that connection goes both ways. The Cetra, fighting in concert with the planet itself, begin to understand Jenova's structure, its vulnerabilities, the way it interfaces with Gaia's spiritual ecosystem. They discover something critical. Jenova is powerful, yes, but it's also dependent. It needs the life stream to fuel its transformations, its infections, its ability to reshape matter. Sever that connection, and Jenova becomes just another organism, dangerous but containable. So the Cetra devise a plan that will cost them dearly. They begin performing ancient rituals, ceremonies that require dozens of Cetra working in perfect synchronization, channeling massive amounts of spiritual energy. The goal is to create a barrier, a spiritual firewall between Jenova and the life stream. It's like trying to perform surgery on a planetary scale while the patient is being attacked by a virus that fights back intelligently. The rituals work. Slowly, agonizingly, the Cetra manage to disrupt Jenova's connection to Gaia's life force. The entity weakens. Its transformations become less fluid. Its illusions flicker and fail. For the first time since the meteorite's arrival, the Cetra gain the upper hand. The battle is won, but the cost is staggering. Cetra warriors lie fallen across the frozen wastes of the North Crater, their bodies scattered like broken monuments to a civilization that has just spent everything it had to save a world that will never fully understand what was sacrificed here. The sealing ritual has worked. Jenova is contained, but the Cetra who remain standing can barely recognize themselves in the aftermath. Their numbers are decimated. Entire bloodlines of gifted communicators with the planet, individuals who could hear the life stream's voice as clearly as their own thoughts, are simply gone. The spiritual infrastructure that held their society together, the network of elders and guides who maintained the delicate balance between their people and the planet, has been shattered. And here's the thing, this isn't just a military defeat in terms of casualties. The trauma runs deeper. The Cetra who survived the conflict find that their connection to the planet, once as natural as breathing, has become fractured. They reach out through their consciousness to touch the life stream, and they feel something they've never felt before. Hesitation, static, a kind of spiritual interference. I think this is because Jenova's very presence, even sealed, has corrupted something fundamental in the planet's voice. The cells that infected their fallen comrades, the psychic assault they endured during the battle, it's left scars that don't heal cleanly. Some Cetra report hearing whispers that don't belong to the planet, echoes of that alien intelligence trying to mimic the voice they trust. Others simply find silence where there used to be communion. So we've established that the Cetra are broken, scattered, and traumatized. What happens next is a slow, painful attempt at rebuilding. The survivors gather in small groups, moving away from the North Crater, trying to re-establish the nomadic patterns that once defined their existence. But the old ways don't work anymore. The settlements they build feel temporary in a way they never did before. The rituals that used to bring them into harmony with the planet's cycles feel hollow, like going through motions without understanding the original purpose. They're trying to reconstruct a civilization from memory, while the very foundation of that civilization, their spiritual connection, remains compromised. The Cetra's leadership understands something crucial. This knowledge cannot be allowed to die with them. Their spiritual leader, an elder who bore witness to Jenova's full horror and somehow maintained enough clarity to help coordinate the sealing, knows that time is limited. This individual, whose name has been lost to history, but whose actions echo forward through millennia, makes a deliberate choice. Before death claims them, they gather a select group of the most trusted Cetra, individuals who demonstrated both strength of will and purity of connection during the crisis. To these chosen few, the Elder entrusts the complete truth of what Jenova actually is. Not a god, not a natural disaster, but something alien and intentional. A predator that travels between worlds, consuming and moving on. This brings us to the establishment of an oral tradition, a chain of knowledge passed from generation to generation. The Cetra begin telling the story of the calamity from the skies, encoding warnings into their cultural memory. They describe Jenova's arrival, the deception it employed, the virus it spread, the sealing that contained it. They emphasize again and again that the creature in the North Crater is not dead. It's waiting. And they stress that the barrier they've created, the spiritual seal woven from their own life force and the planet's energy, must never be disturbed. The stories take on the weight of sacred text, repeated around fires, whispered to children, carved into what few permanent structures the Cetra still maintain. But oral traditions are fragile things, especially when the culture carrying them is dying. And the Cetra are dying. Not quickly, not in a single catastrophic event, but through a slow erosion across generations. Their numbers never recover from the losses sustained in the Jenova conflict. Fewer children are born with the gift of planet communion. Those who do possess it find their abilities weaker than their parents, diluted somehow. The Cetra watch their own descendants drift further from the spiritual practices that once defined them. Over centuries, then millennia, the transformation is undeniable. The Cetra are evolving, or perhaps devolving, into something else entirely. Modern humans. People who walk on Gaia's surface but can no longer hear its voice, who use the planet's resources without feeling the reciprocal relationship their ancestors maintained. The knowledge fragments as it passes through this transformation. The detailed understanding of Jenova's nature becomes simplified, mythologized. The calamity from the skies turns into a cautionary tale, then a legend, then something grandparents mention to scare children into obedience. The North Crater remains in these stories, but its significance blurs. It's a forbidden place, yes, but why? Something dangerous is sealed there, certainly. But what exactly? The specificity that might have saved future generations from catastrophic mistakes dissolves into vague warnings about ancient evils and places that should not be disturbed. Meanwhile, at the North Crater itself, something is happening. Jenova remains dormant, its consciousness suppressed by the Cetra's barrier, but its presence is not inert. The alien cells, even contained, exert an influence on the surrounding environment. The local wildlife begins to change. Mutations appear, subtle at first. Animals born with extra limbs, plants that grow in geometrically impossible patterns, insects that display rudimentary problem-solving abilities they shouldn't possess. The changes spread outward from the crater in a slow radius, a kind of biological contamination that operates below the threshold of Jenova's conscious will. It's as if the creature's very existence warps the natural order around it, even in sleep. The Cetra's sealing ritual, to their credit, accounts for this. The protective barrier they've woven around the North Crater serves a dual purpose. It contains Jenova's consciousness, yes, but it also functions as a kind of spiritual quarantine, preventing most living beings from approaching the site. Travelers who venture too close report feeling an overwhelming sense of wrongness, a primal fear that turns them back before they can reach the crater's edge. Animals instinctively avoid the area. Even the weather seems to cooperate, with harsh conditions making the region nearly inaccessible for most of the year. It's not a perfect seal, nothing could be, but it's effective enough to keep the curious and the foolish at bay for thousands of years. The North Crater becomes a place of legend, spoken of in the same breath as ghost stories and fairy tales. Explorers occasionally claim to have seen it from a distance, describing a massive wound in the planet's surface surrounded by an aura of menace. Some tales speak of treasures hidden in its depths, others of monsters that defy description. All agree on one thing: it's a place where the rules of nature don't apply, where something fundamentally wrong resides. And beneath all of this, beneath the legends and the mutations and the slowly fading memories of the Cetra, Jenova waits. Its alien consciousness, compressed and contained by forces it couldn't overcome, remains patient in a way that organic beings rarely achieve. It's not planning, not exactly, but it's present, aware, on some level, and the malevolent purpose that drove it to Gaia in the first place hasn't diminished. It's simply been postponed. The Cetra civilization, fades into obscurity, leaving behind only ruins scattered across the planet's surface. Crumbling structures that modern humans will one day stumble upon and misinterpret. Fragments of text in a language no one can read. Artifacts whose purpose has been forgotten. The thriving, harmonious society that once walked in balance with the planet becomes archaeological curiosity, a footnote in a history that no longer remembers its own most important chapter. So we've established that Jenova is now in Shinra's hands, locked away in the Northern Crater's research facility, a specimen of unimaginable power waiting to be exploited. And Shinra, as we know, has never been an organization to let potential go to waste. This brings us to the 1980s, roughly 30 years after Jenova's discovery, when Shinra's science department decides to move beyond simple observation. They want application, they want results. And leading this charge is a man whose name will become synonymous with ethical catastrophe, Professor Hojo. Hojo is, at this point, already a senior figure in Shinra's research hierarchy, a scientist whose brilliance is matched only by his complete absence of moral restraint. He's been studying Jenova's cells for years, documenting their remarkable properties, their ability to integrate with living tissue, their capacity to enhance physical and cognitive function beyond normal human limits. And he has a theory. If Jenova's cells can be introduced into a human subject at the earliest possible stage of development, during gestation itself, the resulting organism might transcend the limitations of both species. It might become something entirely new. But here's the thing. An experiment like this requires a willing participant, or at least someone who can be convinced they're willing. Enter Lucretia Crescent. Lucretia is a scientist in her own right, a researcher working under Hojo's supervision in the science department. She's brilliant, ambitious, and critically, she's personally invested in the work. The exact nature of her relationship with Hojo remains somewhat ambiguous in the source material, but what we know for certain is this: she volunteers. She agrees to become the test subject for Hojo's Jenova cell integration experiment, believing, at least initially, that she's advancing humanity's understanding of biological enhancement, that she's contributing to something meaningful. I think it's important to pause here and acknowledge what we don't know. The timeline suggests Lucretia becomes pregnant during the experiment, but the exact circumstances, whether the pregnancy was planned as part of the research or occurred coincidentally, that remains deliberately vague. What's clear is that once Lucretia is pregnant, Hojo sees an unprecedented opportunity. The fetus becomes the true subject. Jenova's DNA is infused directly into the developing child, cell by cell, creating a hybrid organism that's never existed before. And Lucretia, according to later accounts, doesn't fully understand what's being done until it's too late. This is where Vincent Valentine enters the story, and his role here is tragic in the most classical sense. Vincent is a Turk, one of Shinra's elite operatives, assigned to security detail at the research facility. But he's also in love with Lucretia. The exact history of their relationship varies slightly depending on which version of the compilation you're referencing, but the core facts remain consistent. Vincent cares deeply for Lucretia, and when he learns what Hojo is doing, when he understands that the experiment is using her unborn child as a test subject, he objects, loudly. Hojo's response is swift and brutal. He shoots Vincent, critically wounding him, and then, because Hojo is nothing if not efficient in his cruelty, he uses Vincent's dying body as raw material for his own experiments. Vincent becomes a test subject for a different project, one involving the integration of ancient entities Hojo has been studying, creatures that grant Vincent a kind of immortality, but trap him in a state between life and death. Vincent is then sealed away in the basement of Shinra Mansion in Nibelheim, left to sleep for decades, a dormant reminder of what happens when you challenge Hojo's work. So we've established the circumstances of conception and the elimination of the one person who tried to intervene. Now we come to the birth itself. Sephiroth, because that's the name Hojo gives the child, is born under conditions that remain largely undocumented. What happens to Lucretia immediately after the birth is one of the great gaps in the timeline. Some accounts suggest she survives but is kept isolated. Others imply something worse. What we know with certainty is that Hojo takes custody of the infant immediately. There's no maternal bond allowed to form, no family structure. Sephiroth is, from his first breath, property of the science department. And Hojo, meticulous as ever, begins erasing the evidence. Records of Lucretia's involvement are suppressed, buried in classified archives, or destroyed outright. Officially, Sephiroth's origins become a mystery, a carefully constructed mythology. Hojo presents the child to Shinra's leadership as a gift to the planet, a miraculous specimen whose parentage is unknown, but whose potential is limitless. It's propaganda, of course, but it's effective propaganda. President Shinra accepts the narrative without question, because the details of Sephiroth's creation matter far less than what Sephiroth can do. And what Sephiroth can do becomes apparent almost immediately. Raised in isolation within Shinra's research facilities, likely moving between the Midgar headquarters and more remote installations, Sephiroth is subjected to a childhood that can barely be called a childhood at all. It's conditioning, rigorous physical training, cognitive testing, combat simulations, all designed to harness and amplify the abilities granted by Jenova's cells. Hojo treats him not as a son, not even as a person, but as a hypothesis being proven in real time. By age 10, Sephiroth is demonstrating capabilities that defy normal human biology. Superhuman strength, reflexes operating at speeds that shouldn't be possible, an aptitude for combat strategy and execution that suggests something beyond mere training. He's faster, stronger, more durable than any adult soldier in Shinra's conventional forces. And this catches the attention of the military division, specifically the Soldier program. Soldier, for context, is Shinra's elite fighting force, operatives who undergo Mako exposure treatments to enhance their physical abilities beyond normal limits. Mako is the liquefied form of the planet's life energy, the life stream itself, and when a human body is exposed to concentrated Mako, it can grant enhanced strength, speed, and endurance, but it's also dangerous. Many candidates don't survive the process. Those who do are ranked by their capabilities, with first class being the highest designation, reserved for only the most exceptional operatives. President Shinra, recognizing Sephiroth's potential as both a weapon and a symbol, makes a decision that bypasses every standard protocol. He fast-tracks Sephiroth's induction into Soldier, pulling him from Hojo's exclusive control and placing him into the military pipeline. Sephiroth is still a child, barely into adolescence, but that doesn't matter. What matters is what he represents. Sephiroth undergoes the Mako exposure treatments, the same process every soldier candidate must endure. But his response is unlike anything the program has seen before. Where other candidates struggle, where some die and others emerge merely enhanced, Sephiroth thrives. The Mako doesn't just augment his existing abilities, it seems to synergize with the Jenova cells already in his system, creating a feedback loop of enhancement that pushes him into a category entirely his own. He emerges as the only soldier in the program's history to achieve first-class rank without any prior combat experience. No battlefield commendations, no years of service, just raw, undeniable capability. And Shinra, understanding the propaganda value of this achievement, immediately begins building the mythology around him. Sephiroth becomes the face of Soldier, the perfect soldier, the hero who proves that Shinra's vision of human enhancement isn't just possible but glorious. His image appears on recruitment posters, his name is invoked in speeches. Stories of his abilities, some true and some exaggerated, circulate through the ranks and into the public consciousness. He's used to recruit more candidates into the soldier program, young men who see Sephiroth and believe they too can become something greater. He's used to bolster public support for Shinra's military campaigns, a symbol of strength that justifies expansion and control. But here's what I find most compelling about this period. Sephiroth, despite everything that's been done to him, despite the isolation and the conditioning and the weaponization of his entire existence, he performs. He excels. He becomes exactly what Shinra designed him to be. And that's where the tragedy really begins to take shape. But the true crucible for Sephiroth, the place where his legend would be forged in blood and fire, was the Wutai War. This brutal, protracted conflict between the Shinra Electric Power Company and the isolationist nation of Wutai raged for years, and it was here, on the front lines, that Sephiroth was deployed. We're talking mid-1980s in our in-universe timeline now, and the stories coming back from Wutai were almost unbelievable. Sephiroth's combat skills were not just unmatched, they were supernatural. He wasn't just turning battles, he was single-handedly annihilating entire Wutai forces, often before they even knew what hit them. He became Shinra's ultimate weapon, a living embodiment of their military might, earning him widespread fame, and more importantly, widespread fear. Now, it wasn't all just endless slaughter. During the war, Sephiroth did form bonds, albeit complicated ones. He befriended two other exceptional soldier members, Genesis Rhapsodos and Angeal Huli. These three were the elite of the elite, the first class, and for a time, they shared a genuine camaraderie, a brotherhood forged in the crucible of war. But here's the thing. Even these relationships were strained by Shinra's pervasive manipulations. Shinra, specifically Professor Hojo, was always watching. Hojo, the architect of Sephiroth's very existence, meticulously monitored Sephiroth's performance in the field, secretly documenting every nuanced effect of Jenova's DNA on his physical prowess, certainly, but also, crucially, on his psychological development. He was a living experiment, and Hojo was taking notes on every variable. He wanted to see how the Jenova cells, combined with Mako exposure, would manifest in a fully grown, battle-hardened human. The Wutai War was, in many ways, just another laboratory for Hojo's twisted ambitions. The war eventually ended, with Shinra victorious, largely thanks to Sephiroth. But the victory felt hollow, at least to Sephiroth. Post-Wutai War, a profound disillusionment began to set in. He'd seen the true face of Shinra, the relentless pursuit of power and resources, the disregard for human life. He began to question their motives, their endless expansion. Yet, despite this growing unease, he continued serving. And I think that's because, at this point, he genuinely lacked an alternative purpose. He was a weapon, honed for war, and without Shinra, what was he? He was a being of immense power, but without direction, he remained bound to his creators. This brings us to a pivotal moment, a mission that would irrevocably alter Sephiroth's destiny, and, indeed, the fate of the planet itself. Shinra assigned Sephiroth to investigate abnormal monster activity in a remote mountain town called Nibelheim. This wasn't just any monster outbreak. There were reports of creatures unlike anything seen before, exhibiting unusual aggression and mutations. For this mission, Shinra paired him with a fresh-faced rookie soldier, Zack Fair, and, significantly, a young Shinra infantryman named Cloud Strife, who was serving as a Turk operative on this particular assignment. Cloud, ironically, had idolized Sephiroth since childhood, dreaming of becoming a soldier just like him. Upon arriving in Nibelheim, the team found the monster activity centered around the Mako reactor on Mount Nibel. But before heading there, Sephiroth made a detour. He accessed the Shinra Manor's archives, a dilapidated, forgotten wing of an old mansion in town. This wasn't a casual browse. He was looking for something specific, something he'd perhaps heard whispers about, or perhaps an instinct guided him. And in those dusty, restricted documents, he found it. He uncovered the truth about the Jenova project, and, more horrifyingly, the truth about his own birth. The documents detailed the experiments, the genetic manipulation, the implantation of alien cells. He read about his mother, Lucretia Crescent, a Shinra scientist who had been Hojo's assistant and, tragically, his lover. He learned that he wasn't born of natural means, but was a scientific experiment, infused with the cells of an extraterrestrial entity named Jenova, while still in his mother's womb. This revelation, the cold, clinical dissection of his origins, triggered a catastrophic psychological breakdown. Sephiroth, who had always believed himself to be a human of exceptional talent, now saw himself as something else entirely. He misinterpreted the information, twisting the narrative to fit a grander, more terrifying purpose. He latched onto the idea that Jenova, this calamity from the sky, was in fact a Cetra, an ancient. The Cetra were an ancient race capable of communicating with the planet, a race believed to have vanished. Sephiroth, in his fractured state, began to believe that he was the last surviving ancient, a chosen one, destined to reclaim the planet from the humans who were, in his eyes, polluting and destroying it. He saw Jenova's destruction not as a calamity, but as a righteous cleansing. Fueled by this twisted conviction, believing himself destined to reclaim the planet for the ancients, Sephiroth snapped. The precise moment of his descent into madness is chilling. He emerged from the Shinra manor, a figure transformed, his eyes burning with a terrifying zeal. He burned Nibelheim, not just a few houses, but the entire town, a fiery inferno that consumed everything. And then he murdered its inhabitants, his former allies, the very people he was supposed to protect. He slaughtered them indiscriminately, a chilling act of violence that cemented his transformation from hero to villain. The climax of this horrifying episode occurred at the Nibelheim reactor. Zack and Cloud, horrified by Sephiroth's actions, confronted him. In a desperate, brutal struggle, Sephiroth was impaled by Cloud, not once, but twice, first with his own Masamune blade, then with Zack's Buster Sword. The sheer audacity of Cloud, a mere infantryman, managing to wound the legendary Sephiroth, is a testament to the raw, unyielding courage born of desperation. Sephiroth, severely wounded, stumbled and fell into the swirling depths of the life stream within the reactor. Most would have been consumed, their essence dissolving into the planet's spiritual energy. But Sephiroth was different. His body, infused with Jenova's cells, proved resilient. His consciousness, already merging with Jenova's influence, allowed him to survive. From within the life stream, an ocean of spiritual energy that binds all life on the planet, he began to manipulate events, a silent, insidious force pulling strings from beyond the veil of physical existence. And what of Hojo, the man who started it all? He was, predictably, intrigued. Sephiroth's actions, his descent into madness, his survival within the life stream, it all confirmed Hojo's theories, albeit in the most catastrophic way imaginable. Hojo, ever the amoral scientist, covered up the Nibelheim incident. He fabricated reports, silenced witnesses, and twisted the narrative to protect Shinra's image and, more importantly, to continue his research. He meticulously documented Sephiroth's survival and the apparent merging of his consciousness with Jenova's, setting the stage for future conflicts, for a terrifying new chapter in the history of the planet. Sephiroth was gone, but his legend and his influence had only just begun. We've established the monstrous genesis of Sephiroth, a being engineered from the cells of an extraterrestrial entity named Jenova, and raised within the Shinra corporate structure as a super soldier. Now, we arrive at the pivotal moment, the event that irrevocably shatters his perception of reality and sets him on a path of planetary destruction, the Nibelheim incident. This occurs around the year 2000 in the Shinra era, a time when Sephiroth is at the zenith of his public adoration, a celebrated hero. The setup is deceptively mundane. Sephiroth, accompanied by a young, eager Cloud Strife, then a low-ranking Shinra grunt, desperate to impress his idol, and the cocky but capable soldier first-class Zack Fair, is dispatched to the remote mountain town of Nibelheim. Their mission? To investigate a malfunctioning Mako reactor, one of the many facilities Shinra uses to extract Mako, the planet's lifeblood, for energy. This is a routine assignment, the kind of task a hero like Sephiroth would typically delegate. Yet he's there, a testament to the perceived severity of the reactor's issues. But, as we'll see, the true malfunction isn't in the machinery, it's in the carefully constructed narrative of Sephiroth's life. Upon their arrival in Nibelheim, Sephiroth's initial actions seem professional, almost detached. He conducts his investigation, but there's an undercurrent of something else, a nascent curiosity perhaps, that draws him to the Shinra Manor. This decrepit, foreboding mansion, perched ominously on the outskirts of town, is more than just an abandoned research facility. It's a repository of Shinra's darkest secrets, a place where the lines between scientific ambition and ethical depravity blur beyond recognition. And it's here, within its dust-laden walls, that Sephiroth begins to unravel the meticulously woven tapestry of his existence. He delves into the manor's archives, a labyrinth of forgotten documents and research notes. This isn't a casual peruse. This is a focused, almost desperate search for answers. We don't see the exact moment he finds them, but we can infer the crushing weight of discovery as he unearths classified documents in the Shinra Manor basement. These aren't just any files. These are the unvarnished records of the Jenova project, the very initiative that birthed him. The truth, when it hits him, is a hammer blow to the soul. He learns that he wasn't born of human parents, but rather created an experiment. His mother, he discovers, isn't a woman at all, but Jenova, an extraterrestrial being, a calamity from the skies, as the ancient texts describe her, whose cells were used as the foundational material for his very existence. And the architect of this grotesque creation, Professor Hojo. The revelation that Hojo, a man Sephiroth likely viewed with disdain, a man synonymous with cold, unethical experimentation, is his biological father, must have been a profound shock, a betrayal of the most intimate kind. The man who was supposed to be his father figure, the one who guided his early development within Shinra, was in fact his progenitor in a petri dish. This isn't just a biographical update. It's an existential crisis of unprecedented scale. Imagine learning that your entire life, your identity, your very humanity is a lie. That every achievement, every commendation, every moment of pride was predicated on a fundamental deception. It's a complete inversion of reality. And I think that's why his reaction is so extreme. He doesn't just process this information, he internalizes it, twists it, and redefines his entire worldview around it. He becomes increasingly obsessed with the idea that he is a chosen one, destined for something far grander than merely serving Shinra. The documents, in their cold, clinical language, describe Jenova's immense power, her ability to sow destruction, her status as an entity from beyond the stars. Sephiroth, seeing himself as Jenova's direct descendant, begins to conflate her power with his own inherent destiny. He starts to believe that he, too, is meant to rule the planet, to claim it as his rightful inheritance. The seeds of megalomania, perhaps always dormant within him due to his engineered superiority, now germinate and blossom into a full-blown conviction. This newfound identity, rooted in alien heritage and perceived superiority, naturally leads to a profound disdain for humanity. If he is a chosen one, an heir to an extraterrestrial power, then humans, with their frailties, their petty squabbles, their short lifespans, are nothing more than insects. He begins to believe that humans are inferior, unworthy of the planet's legacy, and that he, as Jenova's descendant, is the rightful heir. This isn't just arrogance, it's a terrifying re-evaluation of his place in the cosmic order. Sephiroth descends into madness. It's a slow burn, meticulously documented in the Shinra Manor, culminating in a furious, week-long isolation where he pores over every scrap of information, every fragmented theory, every desperate plea from long-dead scientists. He rejects his humanity, casting off the identity he had meticulously built over decades. He embraces his identity as a descendant of Jenova, a being apart, a god in the making. The transformation is complete. The hero is dead. The villain is born. His first act as this newly self-proclaimed deity is to return to the Nibelheim Mako reactor. This isn't about fixing a malfunction anymore. It's about making a statement, about asserting his newfound dominance. It's here, amidst the humming machinery and the swirling Mako energy, that he confronts Cloud and Zack. The air crackles with a chilling intensity as he declares his intentions to claim the planet, not as a protector, but as a conqueror. The shock on Cloud's and Zack's faces must have been palpable, seeing their revered hero, their symbol of strength and justice, transformed into a terrifying prophet of doom. The declaration is quickly followed by horrific action. Sephiroth murders several Shinra scientists and soldiers at the reactor. These aren't just nameless victims, they are individuals caught in the crossfire of his psychosis. Among them is Ifalna, Professor Gast's assistant, a woman who, ironically, was instrumental in some of the early, more ethical research into Cetra and the planet's life cycle. Her death is a brutal symbol of Sephiroth's complete disregard for human life and the planet's true protectors. He isn't just killing, he's purging, clearing the way for his new world order. But the horror doesn't stop there. Sephiroth escalates his rampage, setting fire to Nibelheim. The town, once a quiet, picturesque settlement nestled in the mountains, becomes an inferno, a crucible of his rage. Most of its inhabitants, innocent civilians, are consumed by the flames. This act of wanton destruction is a chilling demonstration of his power and his utter contempt for the world he once protected. It's a symbolic cleansing, a fiery baptism for his new reign. Cloud and Zack, horrified and disbelieving, attempt to stop Sephiroth. This isn't just a fight, it's a desperate struggle against a former ally, a man they once looked up to, now a force of pure, unadulterated destruction. The confrontation takes place at the reactor, a fitting backdrop for the clash of ideals. Zack, a seasoned soldier, engages Sephiroth first, fighting with courage, but ultimately, he is no match for the enhanced power and newfound ruthlessness of the Mad Angel. Then comes the moment that defines Cloud's entire future. Sephiroth mortally wounds Cloud in the battle. It's a brutal, one-sided affair, a testament to Sephiroth's overwhelming strength. But here's the thing. Even on the brink of death, fueled by a surge of adrenaline, a primal need for revenge, and perhaps a flicker of nascent heroism, Cloud manages to retaliate. In a moment of sheer, desperate defiance, he impales Sephiroth with his own Masamune blade. This isn't a decisive victory, it's a desperate, almost suicidal act of resistance. The impact of Cloud's blow sends Sephiroth reeling, and in a shocking turn of events, he falls into the life stream, the spiritual essence of the planet itself, which flows beneath the Mako reactor. The life stream, meant to sustain life, now consumes its greatest threat. Sephiroth is presumed dead after falling into the life stream, a convenient narrative for Shinra to maintain. However, and this is crucial, his body is never recovered. This absence is a glaring red flag, a silent promise that this isn't the end of Sephiroth. It's merely the beginning of his true metamorphosis. The Nibelheim incident, far from being the end of his story, is the explosive prologue to his ultimate plan. And so, with Sephiroth seemingly defeated, we're left with the immediate, visceral aftermath of a catastrophe. The Nibelheim reactor, a place of scientific ambition twisted into a crucible of horror, now stands as a monument to Shinra's hubris and Sephiroth's nascent madness. But the story doesn't end with a fiery explosion, not by a long shot. Zack Fair, our ever-resilient soldier first class, somehow survives the brutal encounter within the reactor. Seriously, think about that for a second. He just went toe-to-toe with a superpowered, increasingly unhinged Sephiroth and lived to tell the tale. It's a testament to his training, his raw strength, and perhaps a stubborn refusal to die. He emerges from that inferno, battered and bleeding, but with one singular, urgent purpose: Cloud strife. Cloud, who had charged in with a raw, untrained courage, now lies critically injured, a victim of Sephiroth's fury. Zack, despite his own wounds, scoops up the unconscious Cloud, carrying him away from the smoldering ruins of the reactor. This act, born of loyalty and a sense of responsibility, sets in motion a chain of events that will define their future, and indeed, the future of the planet. Now, you'd think such a cataclysmic event, a massacre perpetrated by one of Shinra's own elite soldiers, would be impossible to hide. But here's the thing about Shinra Electric Power Company. Their power isn't just in Mako energy, it's in their control over information. They move with chilling efficiency to cover up the Nibelheim incident. The official story, meticulously crafted and ruthlessly enforced, becomes a work of fiction designed to protect their pristine public image. Sephiroth never happened. The town burning. A natural disaster, perhaps, or a rogue monster attack. Anything but the truth. This isn't just about PR. It's about maintaining their iron grip on public trust, or at least public ignorance. Admitting that their most celebrated hero, a product of their own genetic experiments, went rogue and slaughtered, an entire town would shatter their carefully constructed facade. The survivors of Nibelheim, those few who weren't consumed by fire or sword, are systematically rounded up. They're relocated, their memories tampered with, their lives erased from the public record. This isn't a compassionate rescue, it's a systematic scrubbing of evidence. And then, in a move that's both chillingly pragmatic and deeply symbolic, Shinra rebuilds Nibelheim. They erect new houses, new businesses, a new Mako reactor, all designed to look exactly like the old town. But it's a hollow shell, a stage set for a lie. The purpose is clear: to erase any trace of the tragedy, to make it as if the incident and the suffering it caused never happened. It's a physical manifestation of their gaslighting, a concrete denial of reality. This rebuilt Nibelheim, pristine and unsettling, becomes a constant, subtle reminder of Shinra's capacity for deception and their terrifying power to rewrite history. Meanwhile, Sephiroth's actions at Nibelheim mark a terrifying turning point. This isn't just a breakdown, it's a genesis. His rampage, fueled by the revelation of his origins and the perceived betrayal of his mother Jenova, transforms him from a troubled hero into a nascent threat of cosmic proportions. He's no longer merely a powerful individual. He's an entity with a burgeoning messianic complex, convinced of his own divine right to rule. The incident is the crucible in which his destructive ideology is forged, the moment he truly embraces his perceived destiny as a harbinger of planetary change, a force to reclaim the planet for Jenova. His personal crisis has now become Gaia's existential crisis. The incident's impact on Cloud Strife is profound and devastating. The trauma of witnessing Sephiroth's rampage, the destruction of his hometown, and his own near-fatal injuries shatters his psyche. His memories become fragmented, a jumbled mess of reality and wishful thinking. This isn't just amnesia, it's a psychological defense mechanism, a desperate attempt by his mind to cope with unimaginable horror. He begins to internalize Zack's memories, blurring the lines between their experiences, creating a false narrative where he was the soldier first class. He was the hero who confronted Sephiroth. This identity crisis, a core element of his character, is directly born from the fires of Nibelheim. It's a tragic testament to the human mind's fragility when faced with overwhelming trauma. Zack, ever the protector, makes a solemn vow. He will shield Cloud, nurture him, and ensure his survival, no matter the odds. Despite being fugitives from Shinra, despite Cloud's catatonic state, Zack's loyalty is unwavering. He sees the broken young man not as a burden, but as a responsibility, a life he must safeguard. This determination, this almost paternal instinct, speaks volumes about Zack's noble character and his deep bond with Cloud. Their escape from Nibelheim, an arduous journey filled with danger and deprivation, is a testament to Zack's resolve. He's not just carrying Cloud's body, he's carrying the hope of Cloud's recovery, and perhaps the seeds of a future resistance against Shinra. And what of Sephiroth? After his apparent defeat, after plunging into the depths of the Nibelheim reactor, he doesn't simply die. No, his connection to Jenova, his unique physiology, and the sheer force of his will allow him to survive. He falls into the life stream itself, the spiritual current of the planet, a river of Mako energy and consciousness that underpins all life on Gaia. This isn't just a dip in a magical pond, it's a profound communion. Within the life stream, Sephiroth's understanding of the planet's energy deepens exponentially. He absorbs knowledge, power, and a twisted interpretation of Gaia's will. He learns of the planet's natural defenses, its cyclical nature, and the ultimate destination of all life. This immersion doesn't purify him, it corrupts him further, solidifying his conviction that he is the chosen one, destined to guide the planet's evolution, even if it means its destruction and rebirth under his command. He becomes a part of the planet's very essence, an insidious cancer within its core. The Nibelheim incident, then, isn't just a localized tragedy, it's a pivotal event in the history of Gaia. It's the moment when the planet's fate truly hangs in the balance. It shapes the destinies of its key characters, Cloud, Zack, Tifa, and most significantly, Sephiroth. It's the origin point of the central conflict of Final Fantasy VII, the spark that ignites the resistance against Shinra, and the ultimate battle for the planet's survival. Without Nibelheim, there is no Sephiroth as we know him, no fragmented Cloud, no desperate struggle for Gaia. It is the crucible, the turning point, the moment everything changed. Sephiroth's time in the life stream, coupled with his Jenova-infused lineage, solidifies his twisted belief in his divine right to rule the planet. He sees himself as a god, a rightful heir to Gaia, destined to guide its evolution. This megalomaniacal conviction fuels his later, far more ambitious and destructive plans, the summoning of Materia. He believes that by inflicting a massive wound upon the planet, by gathering all the life stream to heal that wound, he can then absorb its energy, become one with it, and ascend to true godhood. The Nibelheim incident, therefore, isn't just a past event. It's the ideological blueprint for his future apocalyptic schemes. It's the moment the seeds of planetary destruction are sown. Crucially, the incident also rips back the curtain on Shinra's darkest secrets. It exposes their unethical experiments, their callous disregard for human life, and their willingness to sacrifice anyone and anything for power and profit. The Jenova project, the Soldier program, the Mako reactors, all are revealed as tools of exploitation, not progress. Nibelheim becomes a symbol of their corporate evil, a stark reminder of the human cost of their ambition. It's a direct indictment of their entire operation, a festering wound that, despite their best efforts, refuses to heal. As we touched on earlier, Cloud's memories of the event become profoundly distorted. He genuinely believes he was the hero who defeated Sephiroth, the soldier first class who saved Nibelheim. This isn't a malicious lie, it's a deeply ingrained delusion, a coping mechanism forged in trauma. He adopts Zack's persona, his skills, even his iconic Buster Sword, to fill the void left by his shattered identity. This false narrative, while tragic, also serves a purpose. It gives him the strength, the resolve, and the self-belief he desperately needs to face the challenges ahead. It's a fragile foundation, but a foundation nonetheless. Zack's unwavering loyalty to Cloud, his role in the aftermath of the incident, truly highlights his character's inherent nobility. He's not just a powerful warrior, he's a compassionate friend, a selfless protector. He sacrifices his own freedom, his own safety, to care for Cloud. He carries him for years, constantly evading Shinra, always putting Cloud's well-being before his own. This unwavering devotion, this deep sense of responsibility, elevates Zack from a mere soldier to a true hero. His actions during those agonizing years on the run are a testament to the best of humanity, a stark contrast to the darkness unleashed by Sephiroth and Shinra. Ultimately, the Nibelheim incident serves as the undeniable catalyst for the entire saga of Final Fantasy VII. It's the inciting event, the origin story of our heroes and our villain. It sets the stage for the game's central conflict, the fight against Sephiroth, the struggle against Shinra, and Cloud's journey to reclaim his true identity. Every major plot point, every character's motivation, every grand confrontation can be traced back to those horrifying days in Nibelheim. It's not just a backstory, it's the very foundation upon which the epic narrative is built, a dark prophecy fulfilled, and a desperate hope ignited. 5 years. 5 years after the Nibelheim incident, after the fire and the screams and the apparent death of the world's greatest soldier, Sephiroth re-emerges. This isn't a simple resurrection, not in the way you might imagine. He didn't just crawl out of a grave. No, he survived. Or rather, his consciousness did, coalescing within the life stream itself. That's the planet's spiritual energy, this vast flowing river of life and death, consciousness and memory that underpins all existence on Gaia. And that's where Sephiroth went to work. We're now roughly in the year 2007 of the in-universe timeline, the period often referred to as the Midgar Crisis. And from within this planetary consciousness, Sephiroth begins to manipulate. He's not physically present yet, not in a substantial way, but his influence is undeniable. He's reaching out, a psychic puppet master, pulling strings you can't even see. And who is his primary target? Cloud Strife, of course. The young man who, in Sephiroth's twisted perception, betrayed him. But Cloud isn't the only one. Sephiroth's reach extends to anyone with a particular genetic predisposition. This brings us to one of the most chilling aspects of his return, the reunion. Sephiroth orchestrates this grand macabre gathering, summoning what are widely known as the Sephiroth clones. But here's the thing. These aren't clones in the traditional sense, like genetic duplicates. No, these are individuals, human beings, who were infused with Jenova cells during Shinra's horrific experiments. Jenova, remember, is the extraterrestrial entity, the calamity from the skies, whose cells have this uncanny ability to reshape and influence life. Sephiroth, being a perfect Jenova cell experiment, has an inherent connection to all others carrying Jenova's genetic material. It's a biological beacon, drawing them to him like moths to a flame. These clones, marked by numbers tattooed on their bodies, are compelled by an irresistible urge to gather at the northern crater. That's the impact site of Jenova's arrival 2 millennia ago, a place steeped in the planet's trauma and Jenova's residual power. It's the ultimate rendezvous point for Sephiroth's plan. And Cloud? He's one of them. Though he doesn't carry a tattoo, his past, his connection to Jenova through the soldier program, makes him susceptible. His Jenova cells, dormant for years, now sing Sephiroth's tune. The chaos this causes across Midgar and beyond is profound. These clones, driven by an instinct they don't understand, wander aimlessly, sometimes violently, all heading in one direction. It's a slow-motion apocalypse, a psychological assault on the populace. Cloud, meanwhile, experiences fragmented memories and visions. They're disorienting, terrifying glimpses of Sephiroth, of Nibelheim, of a past he can barely grasp. These aren't just random flashbacks. They are Sephiroth's subtle, insidious way of asserting control, of reminding Cloud of their shared, fractured history. I think this is Sephiroth's cruelest game, twisting Cloud's perception of reality, making him question his own identity. And then, Sephiroth's presence becomes undeniable, even for those without Jenova cells. It's felt in the very heart of Shinra's power, the Shinra building. President Shinra, the architect of so much suffering, is found dead in his office, impaled by Sephiroth's iconic Masamune blade. But it wasn't Sephiroth himself who delivered the killing blow. It was one of his clones, a puppet acting out the master's will. This single act of violence sends shockwaves through Midgar, further destabilizing an already fragile society. It's a clear message. Sephiroth is back, and he's coming for everything. His ultimate goal, once revealed, is breathtaking in its ambition and horrifying in its implications. Sephiroth doesn't just want revenge, he wants godhood. He plans to summon Meteor, a cataclysmic spell of immense power, using the black materia. This isn't just about destruction. He intends to wound Gaia itself, to inflict a mortal blow that will cause the lifestream to surge to the surface, rushing to heal the planet's wound. And when it does, Sephiroth plans to be there, waiting to absorb all that spiritual energy, to merge with the lifestream and become a deity. He wants to transcend mortality, to become the ultimate being. It's a plan born of his Jenova-fueled delusions of grandeur, a perversion of the very cycle of life and death. It's at this point that Cloud and his nascent group of allies truly coalesce. Tifa, his childhood friend, steadfast and strong. Aerith, the last of the Cetra, with her mysterious connection to the planet. Barret, the eco-terrorist, driven by a fierce love for his daughter and the planet. Red the Third, the intelligent beast, a guardian of Cosmo Canyon, and others who join their cause. They begin their arduous journey, traveling across the vast and varied landscapes of Gaia, united by one singular purpose: to stop Sephiroth. This isn't just about saving themselves, it's about saving the entire planet. But Sephiroth's manipulation is relentless. He plays on Cloud's insecurities, his fragmented memories, his deep-seated guilt. And this manipulation reaches its terrible zenith at the Temple of the Ancients. This ancient structure, a sacred place of the Cetra, holds the black materia, the very spell Sephiroth needs. Cloud, under Sephiroth's psychic thrall, is compelled to hand over the black materia to him. It's a moment of profound helplessness, a stark illustration of how deeply Sephiroth has burrowed into Cloud's mind. This act, seemingly voluntary but utterly coerced, advances Sephiroth's plan significantly. The weapon is now in his hand. Aerith, however, has her own connection to the planet, a deeper understanding of its plight. She senses the true danger, the impending doom that Sephiroth represents. She knows what must be done, and so she separates from the group, traveling to the Forgotten City, a place of immense spiritual power for the Cetra. Her goal is to summon Holy, the ultimate defensive spell of the planet, a force that could counter Meteor and save Gaia. She's taking a stand, a desperate gamble, and then it happens. In one of the most iconic and heartbreaking scenes in gaming history, Sephiroth appears in the Forgotten City. As Aerith kneels in prayer, bathed in the ethereal light of the water, he descends. With one swift, brutal thrust of his Masamune blade, he kills her. It's a shocking, devastating moment. Not only does it eliminate a key threat to his plans, Aerith's ability to summon Holy, but it also deepens Cloud's guilt, his sense of failure, and his resolve. It's a wound that will never truly heal, a stark reminder of Sephiroth's cruelty and the immense personal cost of their fight. Sephiroth has removed a critical piece from the board, leaving the planet vulnerable. So we've established the party's relentless pursuit, their journey culminating in the frozen heart of the northern crater. This brings us to a pivotal moment, a revelation that shatters Cloud's already fractured sense of self and fundamentally redefines the narrative. It's here, amidst the swirling Mako and ancient ice, that Sephiroth chooses to unveil the brutal truth. He doesn't just tell Cloud he's been manipulated, he peels back layers of carefully constructed lies, exposing the very foundation of Cloud's identity as a fabrication. Sephiroth reveals that Cloud isn't, and never was, a true soldier. Instead, he was a failed Sephiroth clone, a mere experimental puppet infused with Jenova cells. His memories a patchwork of Tifa's recollections and Jenova's insidious influence. This isn't just a personal attack. It's a psychological dismantling. Sephiroth delights in this, his words dripping with a cold, almost clinical malice as he watches Cloud grapple with the horrifying realization that his entire life story, his very heroism, was a lie. He was never the hero of Nibelheim, never the one who fought alongside Sephiroth. He was merely an extra, a bystander, his mind overwritten to serve a larger, darker purpose. And I think that's because Sephiroth understands the power of identity. He knows that to break Cloud, he must first break the image Cloud holds of himself. He wants Cloud to feel the same existential void he himself experienced upon learning of his Jenova origins, albeit twisted through a lens of contempt. It's a cruel mirroring, a perverse mentorship. Sephiroth isn't just seeking to destroy the planet, he's seeking to destroy the spirit of those who would oppose him, starting with the one who most closely resembles his own past, even if that resemblance is merely cellular. This brings us to the actual confrontation. The party, reeling from Sephiroth's revelations but hardened by their journey, finally faces him. But this isn't just Sephiroth. This is Sephiroth at his most potent, his most terrifying. He merges with Jenova's inert body, the very source of his power and his perceived divinity. The transformation is grotesque, yet awe-inspiring. Jenova's alien physiology contorts, fusing with Sephiroth's form, elevating him beyond mortal comprehension. He becomes a being of immense, almost cosmic power, a true god in his own twisted perception. This merging isn't just symbolic, it's a tangible increase in his capabilities, a final ascension towards his ultimate goal. He is no longer merely a man with immense power, he is the embodiment of Jenova's destructive will, a living weapon poised to reshape Gaia. With this newfound power, Sephiroth unleashes his grand design. He summons Meteor. This isn't a mere spell, it's a cataclysmic event, a massive celestial object tearing through the cosmos, hurtling towards Gaia. The sky itself splits, revealing the terrifying, fiery descent of this world-ending projectile. The stakes, already impossibly high, are now literally astronomical. Meteor isn't just a threat, it's a countdown, a visible, undeniable manifestation of Sephiroth's destructive ambition. It hangs in the sky, a constant, ominous reminder of the impending apocalypse, a shadow cast over every waking moment. The party, despite the overwhelming odds and the psychological trauma inflicted upon Cloud, refuses to yield. They battle Jenova synthesis, a manifestation of Sephiroth's will, a grotesque, multi-limbed creature that embodies Jenova's alien biology and Sephiroth's malevolent intelligence. This isn't the true Sephiroth, not yet, but it is a powerful avatar, a test of their resolve. The fight is brutal, a desperate struggle against a being that represents everything they've fought against since leaving Midgar. Each blow struck against Jenova's synthesis is a blow against Sephiroth's plan, a defiant assertion that humanity will not simply surrender. But here's the thing. Even after defeating Jenova synthesis, the true confrontation still awaits. Cloud, despite his shattered sense of self, finds a flicker of resolve. He faces Sephiroth in a final, one-on-one confrontation within the ethereal realm of his own mind, a psychic battleground where the lines between reality and illusion blur. This isn't a physical brawl, it's a clash of wills, a struggle for Cloud's very soul. Sephiroth, still attempting to exert his control, to pull Cloud further into the abyss of Jenova's influence, is met with a nascent defiance. Cloud, drawing strength from his true friends, from the fragments of genuine memory that remain, begins to assert his own identity. He overcomes the manipulation, the insidious whispers, the manufactured past. It's a moment of profound personal triumph, a reclamation of self, and with that mental victory, Cloud strikes a decisive blow against Sephiroth's physical form in the northern crater, a final, definitive act of rejection. Sephiroth's physical body is defeated. He collapses, his form dissolving into the life stream, the river of spiritual energy that flows through Gaia. But this is not the end. This is just my theory, but his essence, his consciousness, his malevolent will, remains. It's too powerful, too deeply intertwined with Jenova's cells to simply dissipate. It persists within the life stream, a lingering threat, a dark stain on the planet's very soul. This is crucial. This isn't a clean victory. It's a temporary reprieve. The wound is closed, but the infection remains. The party, having achieved this momentary victory, escapes the collapsing northern crater. The land itself rebels against the devastation wrought by Sephiroth's power, the ancient ice and rock tearing apart. They emerge, battered but not broken, with a renewed, grim determination. Meteor still hangs in the sky, a constant, terrifying reminder of the unfinished business. They vow to stop Meteor, to prevent Sephiroth's ultimate victory, knowing that his influence, his lingering will, is still very much a factor. This escape isn't just a physical act, it's a symbolic one, a re-emergence from the darkness of Sephiroth's psychological warfare into the harsh, undeniable reality of the impending apocalypse. Sephiroth's influence, therefore, persists. Meteor continues its inexorable descent toward Gaia, a giant burning promise of destruction. His will, though disembodied, still guides this celestial weapon, still seeks to wound the planet and ascend to godhood through its suffering. The stage is set for the final desperate battle. Cloud and his allies, having faced the truth of their past and the immense power of their enemy, now prepare to confront Sephiroth's lingering will. They must find a way to stop Meteor, to truly sever Sephiroth's connection to the planet, and to save Gaia from utter annihilation. This marks the transition, the grim but determined step, into the next and final phase of their journey. The fight is far from over. The world teetered on the brink, a colossal shadow poised to strike. This is it, the Meteor Crisis, unfolding around the year 2007 in our in-universe timeline. We've just seen Sephiroth, newly returned, making his way to the northern crater, and what he finds there, what he absorbs there, changes everything. He plunges into the planet's core, into the very life stream itself, and drinks deep from the accumulated knowledge of the ancients, the Cetra. This isn't just a download of data, it's an immersion, a complete understanding of their history, their connection to the planet, and their ultimate fate. He learns of the planet's inherent defense mechanisms, of its ability to heal itself, but crucially, he also learns of its vulnerabilities. And with this newfound, terrifying wisdom, Sephiroth formulates his ultimate, apocalyptic plan. He will wound the planet so grievously with a massive impact that the life stream, in its desperate attempt to heal, will surge to the surface. And at that precise moment, he, Sephiroth, will merge with it, becoming a god. He will transcend his physical form, becoming an eternal, all-powerful entity, the true ruler of a reborn world. So, with the black materia in his grasp, and this monstrous vision burning in his mind, Sephiroth summons Meteor. This isn't just a rock falling from the sky, it's an extinction-level event, a cosmic hammer blow aimed squarely at Gaia, the living planet. The sheer scale of this threat is unprecedented. Even the Shinra Corporation, the very entity that inadvertently birthed Sephiroth and exploited the planet for its own gain, is forced to acknowledge the existential danger. Their corporate greed and political machinations suddenly seem trivial in the face of impending planetary annihilation. They realize, with dawning horror, that their own survival is intrinsically linked to the planet's. And so, in a desperate, almost ironic twist, they turn their most powerful weapon, the Sister Ray, a gigantic Mako cannon originally designed to attack the northern crater and destroy Sephiroth's physical form, towards a new target. Their aim now is to blast through the energy barrier Sephiroth has erected around the northern crater, hoping to disrupt his ritual and stop Meteor. It's a last-ditch effort, born not of heroism, but of self-preservation. Meanwhile, Cloudstrife and his disparate band of allies, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, Red Third, Cid, Yuffie, and Vincent, are regrouping. They've witnessed Sephiroth's terrifying return, endured his psychological torments, and seen the first signs of Meteor's descent. They understand, perhaps more intimately than anyone else, the sheer magnitude of the catastrophe Sephiroth intends to unleash. Their individual quests for revenge, justice, or understanding have now coalesced into a singular, desperate mission. Stop Sephiroth, and it's Aerith, the last of the Cetra, who understands the deeper truth, the true countermeasure. She knows of Holy, the ultimate defensive magic of the planet, a power capable of negating Meteor. But Holy isn't something one simply casts. It's a prayer, a communion with the planet itself, a plea for its inherent protective mechanisms to activate. So, with unwavering resolve, Aerith travels to the Forgotten City, a sacred place of the Cetra, to pray for Holy. This is a solitary, deeply spiritual journey, undertaken with the full knowledge of the immense burden she carries. She is the planet's last hope. But here's the thing, Sephiroth, even in his nascent godhood, is keenly aware of Aerith's unique connection to the planet. He understands the threat she poses to his grand design, and he acts with ruthless precision. Through his control of Jenova, the extraterrestrial entity whose cells form the basis of his own existence and his clones, he sends a manifestation of Jenova's body to the Forgotten City. This isn't just a random attack, it's a targeted assassination designed to halt Aerith's prayer, to sever the planet's last line of defense. And then, it happens. In one of the most iconic and heartbreaking moments in gaming history, Aerith is tragically murdered. The blade descends, piercing her, stopping her prayer, silencing her forever. Cloud and his allies arrive just moments too late, witnessing the horrific act. The image of Cloud cradling her lifeless body in the shallow pool of water, a single white materia falling from her hair, is seared into the minds of players. It's a moment of profound loss, a gut-wrenching realization that even with their combined strength, they couldn't protect her. This brutal act, this senseless taking of a pure life, galvanizes the group. Their mission transforms from a desperate attempt to stop Sephiroth into an absolute, unyielding vow to destroy him. There's no turning back now. The stakes have never been higher, and the personal cost has never been more devastating. In the immediate aftermath, the party learns a crucial, terrifying detail. Holy, the very power Aerith was praying for, is indeed real and has been activated. But it's trapped. It resides within the planet's core, unable to fully manifest and counter Meteor on its own. Aerith's prayer, though tragically cut short, was enough to awaken it, but not enough to unleash it. It needs something more, a catalyst, a release. This revelation adds another layer of complexity and urgency to their quest. Not only do they have to stop Sephiroth, but they also have to find a way to unleash Holy. Meanwhile, Sephiroth, having eliminated the greatest threat to his plan, proceeds with the next phase of his apotheosis. In the heart of the northern crater, he merges fully with Jenova's power. This isn't just a symbolic union, it's a complete assimilation, a transformation into something truly monstrous, something beyond human comprehension. He becomes a godlike entity, his physical form shifting and contorting, reflecting the immense, alien power he now wields. He is no longer just Sephiroth. He is the embodiment of Jenova's destructive will, amplified by his own twisted intellect and the knowledge of the ancients. The path to Sephiroth is fraught with peril. The party, now more determined than ever, infiltrates the northern crater. But this isn't just a straightforward dungeon crawl. The crater itself is a living, breathing testament to Sephiroth's influence. They face countless Sephiroth clones, pale imitations of the original, driven by his will, acting as extensions of his power. And alongside them, they encounter various manifestations of Jenova, grotesque and terrifying, each representing a fragment of the alien's power, guarding the path to its master. These encounters are not mere obstacles, they are psychological warfare, a constant reminder of the enemy's pervasive influence, and the sheer scale of the threat. Finally, Cloud confronts Sephiroth in the deepest recesses of the northern crater. But this isn't a simple battle of swords. Sephiroth, ever the master manipulator, doesn't immediately engage in physical combat. Instead, he attacks Cloud's mind, his very identity. He exploits Cloud's fragile memories, his past traumas, his insecurities. He projects false images, twists past events, and plants seeds of doubt, making Cloud question everything he believes about himself, about his past, about his very existence. He makes Cloud believe he is nothing more than a Sephiroth clone, a puppet, a failed experiment. It's a psychological assault designed to break Cloud, to render him useless, to strip him of his will to fight. This mental torment sends Cloud into a catatonic state, lost within the life stream. And it's here that Tifa, his childhood friend, his anchor to reality, steps in. She dives into Cloud's fragmented consciousness, navigating the chaotic currents of the life stream, searching for the true Cloud. With unwavering determination and deep empathy, she helps him piece together his shattered memories, confronting the painful truths of his past. She reveals the truth about his humble origins, his failed attempt to join Soldier, and the real events that transpired at Nibelheim. She helps him understand how Sephiroth's descent into madness, triggered by the discovery of his Jenova heritage, directly impacted Cloud's life, intertwining their fates in a tragic, irreversible way. This is a pivotal moment, not just for Cloud's recovery, but for the entire narrative. It solidifies Cloud's identity, his resolve, and his unwavering purpose. With Cloud's mind restored, the party faces their final, terrifying challenge before reaching Sephiroth himself. They confront Jenova Synthesis, the ultimate manifestation of Jenova's power, a grotesque and powerful entity that serves as the final guardian of Sephiroth's ritual. This is the culmination of Jenova's influence, the physical embodiment of the alien threat, standing between them and the ultimate confrontation with Sephiroth. It's a brutal, desperate battle, a testament to their resilience and their unwavering commitment to save the planet. So we've established the stage, the stakes, and the players. Cloud, having finally wrestled free from Sephiroth's psychic grip, now stands as the planet's last true champion. This brings us to the heart of the Meteor Crisis, the climactic one-on-one battle within the very core of the planet. It's a confrontation that transcends mere physical combat, a clash of wills and ideologies that has been building for decades. Cloud, armed with the Buster Sword and the unwavering resolve of his friends, descends into the swirling maelstrom of the lifestream, pursuing Sephiroth to his ultimate sanctuary. And I think that's because this isn't just about stopping Meteor anymore. It's about severing the very root of Sephiroth's power, his connection to Jenova. Remember, Jenova, the calamity from the sky, is the alien entity whose cells Sephiroth is composed of, the source of his monstrous strength and his ability to manipulate the life stream itself. Cloud understands this instinctively, perhaps through his own painful experiences with Jenova's influence. He knows that as long as Sephiroth remains tethered to that ancient horror, he can always return, always threaten Gaia. The fight itself is a maelstrom of raw power and desperate skill. Sephiroth, in his fully ascended form, now known as Safer Sephiroth, is a being of near godlike power, wings unfurled, wielding cosmic energy. Cloud, however, fights with the strength of every bond he's forged, every memory he's reclaimed. He parries devastating magical attacks, dodges sweeping sword strikes, and counters with limit breaks that channel the raw fury of his own spirit. This isn't a clean, choreographed duel. It's a brutal, chaotic struggle for existence itself, played out against the backdrop of the planet's dying screams. But here's the thing. Cloud doesn't just win through brute force. He wins by breaking Sephiroth's connection to Jenova. This is crucial. It's not just a physical defeat, it's a spiritual severing. With a final desperate surge of power, Cloud unleashes Omnislash, his ultimate limit break. A flurry of precise, devastating strikes that tear through Sephiroth's defenses. And in that moment, something fundamental shifts. The link, forged in the laboratories of Shinra and amplified by Sephiroth's own descent into madness, is broken. Sephiroth's immediate threat, his ability to directly channel Jenova's power and influence, is halted. It's a victory, but one that feels incomplete. With Sephiroth defeated, even if only temporarily, the planet can finally begin to act. Holy, the ultimate defensive magic of the planet, which Aerith had successfully cast before her death, is finally released from its containment within the planet's core. For so long, Sephiroth's influence, his sheer will, had held it captive, preventing it from manifesting. Now, with that psychic leash severed, Holy surges forth, a brilliant, purifying light. But there's a problem, a massive, existential problem. Meteor, summoned by Sephiroth, is still hurtling towards Gaia. Holy, for all its power, is delayed in its full activation. The sheer proximity of Meteor, its immense gravitational pull and destructive aura, creates a kind of interference, a cosmic resistance that prevents Holy from immediately pushing it back. The planet is trying to save itself, but it's struggling. This brings us to one of the most poignant and powerful moments in the entire narrative. The lifestream, the very essence of all life and spiritual energy on Gaia, begins to emerge from the planet. And it's not just a chaotic surge of energy. It is guided by Aerith's spirit. Her consciousness, now fully integrated with the planet's lifeblood, acts as a beacon, a conductor. It's a beautiful, tragic culmination of her sacrifice. She died to cast Holy, and now, even in death, she continues to protect the planet, marshalling its fundamental energy. The lifestream, a vibrant emerald torrent, erupts from the planet's surface, swirling around Meteor. It's a breathtaking spectacle, a testament to the planet's inherent will to survive. And then, the combined forces of Holy and the lifestream begin their titanic struggle. Holy, now fully unleashed, pushes against Meteor with an almost physical force, a wave of pure, benevolent energy. The lifestream, guided by Aerith, envelops the destructive comet, acting like a cosmic net, slowing its descent, absorbing its impact, and pushing it back. It's a slow, agonizing process. The sky is filled with clashing energies, a battle on a scale never before witnessed. But eventually, inevitably, the planet's will prevails. Holy and the lifestream, working in concert, push Meteor back. They don't destroy it outright, not entirely. Instead, they prevent it from fully impacting Gaia. The colossal object is forced back into the upper atmosphere, where its destructive energy is largely dissipated, its trajectory altered, its cataclysmic potential averted. The immediate threat of global annihilation is gone, but the victory is not without its cost. Sephiroth's physical form, the one Cloud fought in the planet's core, is utterly destroyed in this process. The sheer force of the lifestream, the purifying energy of Holy, simply overwhelms his physical manifestation. He is gone, or so it seems. Here's the twist, the lingering shadow that defines the future. His essence, his consciousness, his sheer malevolent will, lingers within the lifestream. It's not a complete annihilation. He is absorbed, yes, but not extinguished. He becomes a part of the very thing he sought to control, a dark stain within the planet's lifeblood. This is a crucial detail, a deliberate narrative choice that hints at his potential return, a promise that the struggle is far from over. It's a chilling thought that even in defeat, Sephiroth finds a way to persist, to become an insidious part of the very fabric of existence. With Meteor averted, the immediate crisis subsides. The planet begins its long, arduous process of healing. The lifestream recedes, Holy's light fades, and a fragile peace descends. But the scars of the Meteor crisis remain visible. If you look up at the sky, you can still see the faint, ethereal streaks of residual lifestream energy, a constant reminder of the near apocalypse. The planet has survived, but it has been wounded deeply, and those wounds will take generations to truly mend. In the immediate aftermath, Cloud and his allies, the heroes who saved the world, begin to part ways. Each character, having faced their own demons and contributed to the collective victory, reflects on their journey and the immense sacrifices made. Tifa, Barrett, Sid, Yuffie, Kate Sith, Vincent, Red Threath. Each has been profoundly changed by the events. They carry the weight of their experiences, the loss of Aerith, the trauma of battling Sephiroth, and the sheer responsibility of having saved the world. There's a quiet somberness to their parting, a sense of exhaustion mixed with a profound, if weary, satisfaction. They are heroes, but they are also deeply human. The societal landscape also undergoes a radical transformation. The Shinra Electric Power Company, once the monolithic, all-powerful entity that controlled every aspect of life on Gaia, sees its power diminish dramatically. The meteor crisis exposed their hubris, their destructive exploitation of the planet, and their ultimate inability to protect humanity. Their Mako reactors, once symbols of progress, are now seen as instruments of planetary destruction. This leads to widespread societal upheaval. Governments collapse, new factions rise, and the very structure of civilization is forced to re-evaluate itself. The era of Shinra's unchallenged dominance is over, replaced by a fractured, uncertain future. But the influence of Sephiroth, even in his defeated state, is far from gone. The whispers of the planet, those enigmatic hooded figures that appeared to guide destiny, are not entirely gone either. They are remnants of Sephiroth's lingering influence, subtle manipulations within the lifestream itself. They begin to subtly manipulate events in the background, nudging fate, perhaps trying to steer things towards a future where Sephiroth can fully reconstitute himself. It's a chilling thought. Even when defeated, Sephiroth's will continues to exert a ghostly, insidious control. This is just my theory, but I believe these whispers are a manifestation of his fragmented consciousness, still striving to achieve his ultimate goal. And Cloud, the hero who vanquished Sephiroth, is perhaps the most affected. He continues to struggle with Sephiroth's lingering presence in his mind. The psychic scars run deep. Sephiroth's voice, his influence, his very essence, remains a part of Cloud's internal landscape. It's a constant, tormenting reminder of their intertwined destinies, hinting at future conflicts. Cloud's victory was decisive, but it wasn't a clean break. The shadow of Sephiroth continues to loom over him, a personal battle that will continue long after the meteor crisis has passed. It's after the dust settles, as the survivors begin to rebuild, that the full scope of Sephiroth's ultimate goal becomes clearer to the party. They learn, through various means, perhaps through residual data or fragments of Shinra's research, that his plan was not merely to destroy the planet. It was far more insidious. He sought to merge with the planet, to become one with the life stream, and thereby control its destiny entirely. He wanted to become a god, not just by destroying Gaia, but by becoming Gaia. This plan, thankfully, was thwarted by Cloud and his allies. But the chilling implication is that it was not entirely eradicated. His essence, lingering in the life stream, still holds the potential to achieve this horrific ambition. So, the era of the final confrontation concludes with a hard-won victory, but one tinged with profound uncertainty. The planet is saved, but scarred. Sephiroth is defeated, but his essence persists. The heroes have triumphed, but their personal battles continue. The legacy of Sephiroth's actions, his ambition, his corruption, continues to shape the future of Gaia, setting the stage for new conflicts, new challenges, and a future that is anything but certain. It's a testament to the enduring power of this narrative that even after saving the world, the story feels far from over. The meteor crisis, the cataclysmic event that nearly annihilated all life on Gaia, had finally passed. The planet, scarred but not broken, began its slow, arduous process of healing. But the absence of Sephiroth's physical form did not mean his influence had vanished. Far from it. We're now in the era I've called Sephiroth's lingering influence, a period stretching across Gaia's recovery, where the echoes of his malice continue to reverberate with devastating effect. Even as the life stream surged to mend the wounds inflicted by Meteor, Sephiroth's will, a dark stain on the planet's very essence, persisted. It was a subtle, insidious corruption, not a direct attack, but a slow poisoning from within. And I think that's because Sephiroth, in his final moments, had merged with the life stream itself, becoming a part of the spiritual energy that flows through and sustains all life on Gaia. He was defeated, yes, but not entirely eradicated. His consciousness, or at least a powerful fragment of it, remained, a cancerous presence within the planet's lifeblood. So we've established the macro-level threat, this pervasive spiritual corruption. But the most immediate and visceral manifestation of Sephiroth's continued presence was deeply personal, tormenting the very hero who had brought him down. Cloud strife. Cloud, the man who had faced Sephiroth repeatedly, who had carried the burden of his existence, found no peace. Instead, he was plagued by recurring visions. Hallucinations, whispers, the spectral image of Sephiroth himself, appearing at the periphery of his vision, a constant reminder of the trauma he had endured. It wasn't just a psychological scar. It was almost as if Sephiroth's lingering consciousness was actively reaching out, poking and prodding at Cloud's mind, seeking to break him. We see this play out vividly. Cloud would be riding his motorcycle, Fenrir, through the newly verdant landscapes, and suddenly, a flash of silver hair, a glint of the Masamune blade, or he'd hear that chilling, familiar voice, whispering doubts, accusations, twisting his own memories. It was a psychological war, relentless and debilitating, and it left Cloud isolated, withdrawn, and struggling to find meaning in a world he had fought so hard to save. This brings us to a crucial point in Cloud's recovery, and indeed, in the healing of the world. Cloud's torment, while deeply personal, wasn't entirely solitary. He had Tifa Lockhart, his childhood friend, his anchor. Their shared trauma from Sephiroth's actions, the destruction of Nibelheim, the lies, the manipulation, all of it bound them together. They would sit, often in silence, or sometimes engaging in quiet, halting conversations, trying to process the enormity of what they had endured. It was in these shared moments, these vulnerable exchanges, that their bond deepened. Tifa, ever the steadfast support, would try to pull Cloud out of his despair, reminding him of their shared past, their common goals, and the future they were trying to build. And I think that's because Tifa understood, perhaps better than anyone, the insidious nature of Sephiroth's psychological warfare. She had seen it firsthand, the way he had warped Cloud's identity, and she was determined not to let him win, even in his supposed absence. Their discussions weren't just about dredging up the past, they were about finding a way forward, a collective resolve to confront the lingering shadows. But here's the thing, Sephiroth's influence wasn't just psychological or spiritual, it had tangible, physical consequences. The remnants of Shinra's experiments, particularly the Jenova cells, continued to wreak havoc across Gaia. Remember Jenova, the calamity from the skies, was an alien entity, and her cells possessed incredible, terrifying regenerative and transformative properties. Shinra, in their relentless pursuit of power, had injected these cells into countless test subjects, including Sephiroth himself, and to a lesser extent, Cloud and the other soldier operatives. Even after the company's collapse, these unstable cellular structures persisted in the environment, in the bodies of survivors, causing mutations and chaos. We see grotesque creatures emerging from contaminated areas, people falling ill with strange afflictions. It was a grim reminder that even when the primary antagonist is gone, the tools he wielded, the technologies that enabled his rise, could continue to plague the world. It was a slow-burning disaster, a biological fallout that Gaia had to contend with alongside its spiritual wounds. And this leads us directly to one of the most devastating consequences of Sephiroth's lingering presence, the resurgence of geostigma. This wasn't just any disease, it was a physical manifestation of the corrupted lifestream energy. Imagine the planet's lifeblood, normally a vibrant, healing force, now tainted by Sephiroth's malice. When this corrupted energy flowed through living beings, it caused geostigma, a debilitating illness that manifested as dark, painful lesions on the skin, slowly draining the life force from its victims. It affected countless survivors, particularly children, plunging them into a slow, agonizing decline. It was a cruel irony, a disease born from the very essence of the planet, now turned against its inhabitants. And I think that's because Sephiroth's will, embedded within the lifestream, was actively seeking to further destabilize Gaia, to continue his destructive agenda through this insidious plague. It was a silent, invisible killer, far more widespread than any physical weapon, and it struck at the heart of the recovering world, eroding hope and fostering despair. The stage was set for a more direct confrontation, however. Cloud, still battling his internal demons and the pervasive geostigma, soon encountered three enigmatic figures: Kadaj, Loz, and Yazoo. These individuals were not just random thugs, they were the remnants of Sephiroth. They were, in essence, physical manifestations of Sephiroth's will, born from the lifestream's struggle to process his essence. They shared his silver hair, his cold, calculating demeanor, and a singular, unwavering purpose: to reunite with Jenova, their mother, and resurrect Sephiroth. They were like shards of a broken mirror, each reflecting a different facet of the original's personality. Kadaj, the leader, embodying Sephiroth's cunning and cruelty; Loz, his brute strength; and Yazoo, his detached, almost ethereal menace. They were driven by an almost childlike devotion to Jenova, a desire to make her whole again, believing that in doing so, they would also bring back their father, Sephiroth. This was not a subtle influence. This was a direct, active attempt to bring about the ultimate catastrophe. Their arrival was anything but quiet. The remnants attacked Edge, the newly rebuilt city near the ruins of Midgar. Edge was a symbol of hope, a testament to humanity's resilience and their desire to move forward. But the remnants, with their supernatural abilities and their utter disregard for human life, brought widespread destruction and panic. Buildings crumbled, people scattered, and the fragile peace that had begun to settle over Gaia was shattered. It was a stark reminder that the fight was far from over, that the ghost of Sephiroth still haunted their world. And I think that's because the remnants weren't just looking for Jenova, they were sending a message, a declaration of their intent, and a challenge to the heroes who had once defeated their progenitor. The pursuit of the remnants led Cloud to a place laden with unbearable memories, the Forgotten City. This was the sacred, ethereal place where Aerith Gainsborough, the last of the Cetra, had been brutally murdered by Sephiroth. Confronting Kadaj in this hallowed, yet agonizingly painful location, reignited Cloud's deepest traumas. The echoes of Aerith's death, the guilt, the helplessness he had felt, all came rushing back. It was a deliberate psychological attack by Kadaj, a way to disarm Cloud, to remind him of his failures. The very air in the Forgotten City seemed to hum with sorrow and unfinished business, making Cloud's confrontation with Kadaj not just a physical battle, but a deeply emotional one. The Remnant's primary objective, however, was Jenova, and Kadaj, in a bold and audacious move, stole Jenova's remains from Shinra's custody. Shinra, despite its collapse, had managed to preserve a small amount of Jenova's cells, likely for study or some misguided attempt to harness her power once more. But Kadaj, driven by his unwavering devotion, retrieved these precious fragments. This wasn't just a theft, it was a catalyst. By bringing Jenova's remains into his possession, Kadaj amplified his connection to Sephiroth's will. It was like plugging into a power source, allowing Sephiroth's consciousness, still lingering within the life stream, to exert a more direct and potent influence through his remnant. The stakes had just escalated dramatically. Cloud and his allies, realizing the gravity of the situation, tracked the remnants to the northern crater. This was the site of Sephiroth's previous defeat, the place where he had attempted to summon Meteor, the very wound on the planet's surface that had caused so much devastation. It was a fitting and terrifying location for the final confrontation with Sephiroth's lingering influence. It was a place of immense power, both destructive and spiritual, and it was here that the remnants intended to complete their dark ritual. And it was here, amidst the desolate, crystal-laden landscape of the northern crater, that Sephiroth's consciousness briefly manifested through Kadaj. It wasn't a full resurrection, not yet, but a terrifying glimpse of the original's power and malice. Kadaj, overwhelmed by the influx of Jenova's cells and Sephiroth's will, transformed. The silver hair, the cold eyes, the chilling voice. It was Sephiroth, speaking through his remnant. He taunted Cloud, reaffirming his desire to control the planet, to twist its destiny to his own nefarious ends. It was a chilling declaration, a promise that he would not rest until Gaia was his, a stark reminder that even in defeat, Sephiroth's will remained a potent, terrifying force. This wasn't merely a psychological projection. This was the raw, unadulterated malice of Sephiroth, breaking through the veil between life and death and making his intentions undeniably clear. But the life stream, Gaia's spiritual current, had other plans. It's here, in this desperate moment, that we witness the enduring power of Aerith Gainsborough. Her spirit, now one with the planet's lifeblood, intervened. This isn't a vague, symbolic act. It's depicted quite literally. She channels the life stream, a surge of pure spiritual energy, directly into Cloud and his friends, bolstering their defenses and empowering their attacks against the remnants. It's a moment of profound spiritual connection, a cosmic assist from beyond the veil. So we've established the stakes: a world on the brink, a returning threat, and a spiritual intervention. This brings us to the climax of the Geostigma crisis, the final confrontation. Cloud, fueled by Aerith's spiritual aid and his own rekindled resolve, engages Kadaj in a brutal, no-holds-barred battle. It's a clash of ideologies as much as physical prowess. Kadaj, driven by his twisted filial devotion to Sephiroth and his desire to reunite with Jenova, fights with a feral intensity. Cloud, however, fights for something more, for his friends, for the planet, and for his own hard-won peace. He defeats Kadaj, a decisive victory that should, by all rights, end the immediate threat. But here's the thing. Sephiroth, even in his fragmented state, is a master manipulator. He's always thinking several steps ahead. Kadaj's defeat wasn't the end. It was merely a prelude. As Kadaj lies broken, he merges with the last remaining fragments of Jenova, the extraterrestrial entity whose cells are the source of Sephiroth's power and the cause of so much suffering. And in that horrifying fusion, Sephiroth, or at least a temporary manifestation of his will, is reborn. It's a chilling moment, a visceral reminder that even when you think you've won, Sephiroth can always find a way back. He doesn't need a full body. He just needs a conduit, a vessel, and Jenova's remains provide that perfectly. This temporary resurrection isn't about physical permanence. It's about psychological warfare. Sephiroth engages Cloud in what feels like a final, definitive duel. This isn't just a physical fight. It's a test of Cloud's very soul. Sephiroth's goal isn't necessarily to kill Cloud in this moment, though he wouldn't object. His true aim is to break him, to prove that Cloud is still just a puppet, a failure forever defined by Sephiroth's shadow. He taunts Cloud, reminding him of his past failures, his perceived weakness, and the trauma he inflicted. He wants to drag Cloud back into the abyss of his own self-doubt. But Cloud is no longer the broken, indecisive young man he once was. He has faced his demons, embraced his identity, and found strength in his connections to others. He triumphs over Sephiroth. This victory is critical. It's not just a physical defeat, it's a symbolic one. Cloud severs Sephiroth's physical manifestation, forcing his will, his consciousness, back into the life stream. It's a powerful act of rejection, a declaration that Sephiroth no longer has a hold on him. This isn't the end of Sephiroth's existence, mind you. His consciousness, his essence, still persists within the life stream, a dark stain on Gaia's spiritual fabric. But his ability to directly interfere, to manifest physically, is curtailed. Cloud has, for now, banished the immediate threat, and with Sephiroth's will forced back into the lifestream, a profound healing begins. The lifestream, empowered by Aerith's presence, and now free from the direct oppressive influence of Sephiroth's manifestation, begins to purge itself of the corruption that caused geostigma. This isn't an overnight process, but it's immediate in its effect. The healing begins, slowly at first, then with increasing momentum. Geostigma, the debilitating disease that plagued so many, begins to recede. The planet, Gaia, starts to heal, restoring a fragile balance. It's a testament to the lifestream's inherent power, its ability to self-regulate and cleanse, especially when aided by a powerful will like Aerith's. Cloud, having faced down his ultimate tormentor and emerged victorious, reflects on his journey. It's a quiet, introspective moment amidst the triumph. He acknowledges Sephiroth's lingering influence. He knows that the scars, both physical and psychological, will never fully disappear. Sephiroth is a part of his story, a fundamental antagonist that shaped him. But crucial to his growth, Cloud chooses to move forward. He doesn't deny the past, but he refuses to be defined by it. He embraces the present and looks towards a future where he can contribute, where he can find purpose beyond simply fighting. This is the true measure of his victory, not just defeating Sephiroth, but finding peace within himself. This commitment to a peaceful future is immediately put into practice. Tifa Lockhart, his steadfast friend and anchor, and Marlene Wallace, the bright, hopeful child who represents the future they're fighting for, help Cloud rebuild his delivery service. This isn't just a mundane detail, it's deeply symbolic. Cloud, the legendary mercenary, the hero who saved the world, is now delivering packages. It signifies his return to normalcy, his embrace of a quieter, more grounded life. It's an act of rebuilding, not just of a business, but of his own life and his community. It's a commitment to the everyday, to the small acts that collectively create a better world. Meanwhile, the mysteries surrounding Sephiroth and Jenova continue to intrigue others. Vincent Valentine, the brooding, immortal former Turk, continues his relentless investigation into Shinra's past experiments. Vincent, with his unique connection to the dark side of Shinra's history, is uniquely positioned for this. He delves deeper, uncovering more about Sephiroth's origins, the true extent of Jenova's impact on the planet, and the insidious nature of Shinra's scientific hubris. His journey is one of atonement and understanding, a quest to unearth the truth and prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. He represents the ongoing need for vigilance, the understanding that the roots of evil run deep and require constant scrutiny. The survivors of Midgar and Edge, the new city built from Midgar's ruins, gather to honor Aerith's memory. This is a public acknowledgement of her sacrifice and her pivotal role. They recognize her, not just as a flower girl, but as a true hero who played a crucial part in defeating Sephiroth and saving the planet. Her legacy is one of hope, healing, and connection to Gaia. It's a moment of collective remembrance, a way for the world to process its trauma and find solace in the memory of those who gave everything. So, where does this leave Sephiroth? His legacy, even after his defeat, remains a potent, cautionary tale. He is the ultimate embodiment of unchecked ambition, scientific hubris, and the destructive potential of a broken mind. His actions continue to shape the ongoing struggles of Cloud and his allies. Even with Geostigma gone, the threat of new dangers, perhaps born from the remnants of his influence or the lingering scars on the planet, persists. The fight for Gaia's future is never truly over. Sephiroth, in essence, becomes a symbol, a reminder of what they fought against and what they must continue to protect Gaia from. His presence, even in absence, is a constant shadow, a testament to the profound and lasting impact he had on their world. And I think that's because some wounds, some traumas, run so deep that they become part of the collective memory, shaping generations to come. The struggle against Sephiroth may have ended, but the struggle to live in a world he irrevocably changed, that continues. He is not gone. Not truly. From the moment he first gazed into the Nibelheim reactor, his existence became a gravitational pull, shaping destinies, twisting timelines, and forever redefining what it means to be a villain, a hero, or something in between. And that is the complete story of Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII Time.